Welcome back to Breakfast Central. Nigeria's public university system is facing renewed pressure as the disparities in the implementation of the new salary structure for academic staff widen the gap between federal and state-owned institutions. While some universities have begun paying the approved wages, many state institutions are yet to implement the agreement, citing financial constraints and raising fresh concerns over equity, staff welfare, and the future of higher education.
Education stakeholders warn that unequal pay for the same academic work could accelerate the migration of lecturers from state universities to better-paying federal institutions, weaken teaching and research, and deepen existing inequalities across the sector. As governments grapple with rising wage obligations and shrinking revenues, the debate is no longer just about salaries. It is about whether Nigeria can sustain a public university system that delivers quality education and equal opportunities for students, regardless of where they study.
Now joining us now to discuss this is Professor Chris Piwuna, the President of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU. Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us, Prof.
Good morning. Thanks for having me too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pay disparities between federal and state universities appear to be widening. What is happening? Is Nigeria gradually creating a two-tier public university system where the quality of education will be largely dependent on whether a student attends federal or state university, even though we unfortunately seem like that has been the case for a while now? But is that would you say from your perspective that is what our reality is?
Well, thank you very much for that question and your interest in our universities. I don't think the problem is that of causing a dichotomy, bringing a dichotomy between federal and state universities. Even the federal universities are groaning. The agreement that we signed is neither being fully implemented at the federal universities or at the state universities. In fact, some state universities have implemented the agreement in terms of the pay parity you're talking about. They've implemented it in full, and there is no break in the implementation in those states. But there is no federal university today that is not having problems in implementing it. So the problem is even, at both levels, the state and the federal. So we are virtually where we are with the piece of paper that we signed in December 2025 as the agreement. But the implementation at both federal, on the overall, both federal and state levels is very dismal, very disappointing. And I hope that we can solve it.
I mean, a lot of Nigerians celebrated when that agreement was signed, but I mean, many months down the line now, we can see, as you've told us, that implementation is it's not as it should be, both at the federal and state level. How has this affected the morale of some of your members, and what sort of pressure are you applying to the government in order for them to, meet their own end of the agreement?
The Nigerian university system, just like the general Nigerian public system, our leaders have pauperized us to the extent that, it's like you are perpetually hungry. You know that sense. You're perpetually hungry. So anytime you see food, you just want to eat. You just want to eat. That is how the leadership in this country has pushed our members, staff of the university. And so even when they delay in payments, even when they don't pay in full, it's like just this bite will kill my hunger. That is the attitude, that is the mindset, that is the state in which our universities are. And what does that do to morale? Of course, it literally abolishes it. Our hope when the agreement was signed and when government even tried to make it very public by unveiling the agreement, we thought those were very good signs that the implementation will be smooth. But I'm telling you, the implementation has been nothing but smooth, nothing at all. Look, all federal universities of agriculture were not paid the 6 months arrears that they celebrated that they've released. After pushing and pushing and pushing, they paid them just 1 month out of the 6. How do I feel happy in the University of Jos when my colleagues in Makurdi or Abeokuta are suffering this kind of thing? State universities, out of the 36 states that we have, only 7 states have fully embraced and started implementing. And we commend those states. Sokoto State, Bauchi State, Ekiti State, 7 of them, they have fully, implemented this agreement. And it's really good that they've done that. And we really commend them. But a lot of work needs to be done. And to be honest with you, this is something that is very close to our hearts. The agreement, if you recall, we had to even threaten an action about 2 months ago before the implementation monitoring committee was inaugurated. That is not good. That is not good. And we think that government should be more responsive, both at the state and at the federal levels. But anytime you talk, it's money. And we think, honestly, that the Federal Ministry of Finance is standing in the way of monetary implementation of this agreement at the federal level. At the state levels, state visitors to state universities need to take the staff welfare very seriously. Recently, I said somewhere that ASUU struggled for the needs in assessment. Government had agreed, and from time to time, government approves a fund, a certain amount, for all public universities in Nigeria. Come and see how state universities rush to get that money, the needs assessment. They rush to get that money. They make plans to get that money. They have projects they want to implement with that money. So when the union struggles and money comes to the system to develop the system, states are eager to access that money. But when it comes to the welfare of our members, for them to pay our members their rightful wages, it becomes a big problem. And so we are getting to a point now where we are going to tell state visitors that we can no longer accept a situation where we will work, as lecturers in the universities, we will work and work and work. As unions in the university, we will fight and fight and fight to get funds into the system. And when it comes to our welfare, they turn the other way. We're going to try in the next few days to draw their attention to this problem. We're going to try in the next few days to draw the attention of the Federal Ministry of Finance, particularly on the delays in the release of funds. As I'm talking to you now, this month of August that we just entered, they are not going to pay the kata along with our salaries, because that was what they did in July. After giving 6 months arrears from January to June. In July, they still couldn't pay or release the funds. And it's not the Federal Ministry of Education, to be honest, that releases funds. It's the Ministry of Finance. So it's the Office of the Accountant General. Office of the Accountant General, it is the Ministry of Finance that is probably delaying this agreement. Recently, we also heard the president saying that the fact that our system, our universities have been stable is an answered prayer. We want to tell President Ahmed Tinubu that there are people in his government that are actively working to, stop his prayers from being answered. And unless he addresses those issues, unless those people also do what they are supposed to do, I guess his prayers may not last for too long.
Wow. I mean, that's a tough one. You had said that you want to draw attention to the government in a few days. How do you plan to do that? Is it going to be by...
We have a meeting this weekend.
Do you plan to call for a meeting?
We have a meeting this weekend.
Okay. Okay, so that meeting will reveal a lot that will happen in the near future, right?
A lot in terms of the implementation of this agreement. A lot in terms of implementation of this agreement.
Okay. Do you think, I mean, maybe we should just call a spade a spade. Do you think that there is a clear indication that Nigerian universities should not function properly, especially looking at the fact that every single, be it president, be it tenure, administration that comes in, we're always running around in circles, solving this same problem all the time? Is it a planned strategy that our universities should no longer see the good? Is it planned, or do you think there's something wrong fundamentally?
You know, ASUU had warned many times and years ago that the rise of public universities is a deliberate attempt to kill public universities. Nobody listened to us. We are not like against private universities, but we just wanted to draw the attention of Nigerians to what we thought was the intention of the proprietors of private universities. Now we have almost the same number of public universities as private universities. They brought NELFON. NELFON is being celebrated all over the country, right? Because they say everybody is a Nigerian. If you want to study, you should have access to NELFON.
But private universities don't have...
Hold on.
Yes.
Private universities are getting money from NELFON so that they can keep afloat. Nigerians are watching all of this. So back to your question, there is truly a deliberate attempt by the ruling class, the elites, people who steal public money to go and establish universities. There are many of them around that have universities that cannot tell us. Just recently, the former Attorney General of the Federation was arraigned, and one of the things that is being confiscated from him is a university that where did he get the money to start the university? There are so many like him in the system. Malami is just one of them. So there is a deliberate attempt to kill public universities and ensure that private universities thrive. But we're not going to let down the ball. We're not going to allow them achieve that. They would have to finish all of us to get that which they want to achieve. We are going to stand against it. We'll continue to talk about it. We'll continue to expose this strategy that you're talking about. We'll continue to expose it until all Nigerians see our leaders for who they are. Public education, university education is public good. That is why some of us are educated. Some of us couldn't even afford to go to a private primary or secondary school. How are we going to afford private universities? Poverty is all around the country. They are mentoring people by giving them buses. Fine. But what we know is that we are going to hold forth for Nigerians, the Nigerian university system, and nobody will be allowed to destroy it. If that would mean shutting the system again to bring their attention to what they are doing in the system, so be it. But like we've always said, and I think our recent history suggests that we are open for dialogue. We are ready to discuss these problems, to get the problems solved, but in a sustainable way. We cannot continue these half measures in terms of the implementation of this agreement.
Now, Professor Piwuna, my colleague did raise this question earlier about the government's true intention, and it didn't just start with this administration of really funding our universities and research for making universities fit for purpose. You did mention that universities are public good, but some would argue that, in today's world, universities getting a degree is an expensive venture, and there's a limit to how much government can fund. Is ASUU, under your watch, looking at revenue diversification? Because, the government has shown that it might not even implement agreements it's signed. So is ASUU looking at institutional supplement? Are you looking at internal revenue generating ventures, other funding models like alumni endowments and commercialized research and tuition fees? Because, when Nigerians study abroad, they pay a whole lot more than the locals. Maybe it's something we can look at, or is something you're looking at already?
Mega, are we locals in our country? Are we not the locals in our country?
Yes.
We are the locals in our country. Why should we pay more? Are British citizens paying more in British universities? Are American citizens paying more in universities in America? Is that the case in Germany? Is that the case in Rwanda? Is that the case even in Ghana? So when they talk about tuition and all of that, education is not free, you have to pay, nothing is free. These are neoliberal thoughts and ideas. Fine. If you want to bring the neoliberalism fully into education, do it the way the other neoliberals are doing it now. Why are you changing it? If Nigerians are Nigerians, if we're the locals, Ghanaians should come and pay more in Nigeria. Kenyans should come and pay more in Nigeria. British people, as they used to, should come and pay more in Nigerian universities, not to tax us and our parents to pay more in our own country. Our government should provide certain things for us. They say, how many people are benefiting from this Trinel fund as at now? How many Nigerian students are benefiting from it? We have about 21 million students in public universities, right? So above that, tertiary education. I think that includes polytechnics. Universities may be a little less than that. How many of them are benefiting from the NEL fund? If they say they've brought NEL fund so that everybody will not be cut out of the system or locked out of the system. So we are saying that as locals, what are we benefiting from our own country? The way people are benefiting as locals in their own country. Yes, if you go to England, you have to pay more because you're not their citizens. How much are we paying here? If you want to study medicine, I went to a medical school. From the day I entered medical school to the day I finished medical school, I'm not sure I paid up to 100,000 naira. The Nigerian government survived. Now, a medical school, these new universities of medicine across the country, none of them is taking less than 350,000 naira from you. None of them is taking less than 350,000 naira from you. And when you go to state universities, it is even more than the federal universities. People are paying. We accommodate, Benga, listen to this. We accommodate less than 10% of our students in our hostels. Who is paying for off-campus accommodation? Who is paying the feeding of that child off campus? Who is paying transportation for that child every time off campus into the university? Who? You saw the recent crisis in UI, in OAU, where students protested because of transport. Parents are bearing a great chunk of training students in universities. So government should forget this thing about university is free. Nothing is free. We are paying already. If you have your child now or a younger one in the university, you know what is happening in a public university. You know what you're doing. Don't talk about their field trips. Don't talk about other things they have to pay within the department. And do you know that in medical schools in Nigeria today now, after paying your tuition or school charges, whatever name they call it, you still pay a special fund for exam, just exam. You pay or not. So people are paying. Government should stop this talk about not that they can't bear all the brunt. That people should also take responsibility, cost sharing, and all of that. People are paying. And when you talk about funds, you know, whether it is endowment funds or some instituting some awards, you know, in the university to encourage students, whatever source research, in this agreement that we signed, we told government that one way, of course they already know, we're just emphasizing it, one way in which we can improve revenue generation or funds, attract funds into the system, is to put a special fund for research to help us conduct research that will be, you will attract funds into the universities. As I'm talking to you now, that's part of the 2025 agreement. Nothing is being said by government about that fund. Rather, they have gone to say that they are setting up another research fund headed by the Vice President Kashim Shettima. Since they made that announcement, we have not been contacted. We have not been told where to go, where our own suggestion to them, or where our agreement with them, rather, it's not a suggestion, where our agreement on research fund stands.
Prof, are you still with us? Hello, Prof. Oh, the network we're having difficulties with the network. We're hoping that we can reconnect with Prof and land on that conversation. Prof, if you are there with us, please go ahead. Oof, unfortunately, we've lost that conversation, but we'll continue to see how things turn out. It's disheartening. Every time we gather here, we're talking about strike.
It's almost every sector.
It's like with
speak to resident doctors.
Yes, National Association of Resident Doctors, NAD and
lecturers.
ASUU. I experienced ASUU firsthand. For those of us who schooled in Nigeria, you understand what it feels like. And I understand when parents who can afford it decide to send their children abroad, because there's no guarantee that they would spend, if it's 4 years, that they will spend that 4 years and they will graduate.
Or private schools now.
Yes.
And that's what he's mentioning, that the proliferation of private schools would make public schools less attractive and, of course, little funding.
But Professor Piwuna, yes.
As we wrap up this conversation, we'll just let you land on your thoughts and then we'll conclude.
Even for the research that will attract funds, we don't even know the government's stance on attracting funds, because we're talking about how more funds will be generated into the system. Look, we have applied, we have requested to have a conversation with the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria repeatedly. At least I know we have written and have sent 2 reminders to the President.
Okay, unfortunately, we cannot. I would have loved for us, he said he has written and, written 2 reminders to the President. And I would have loved to ask, his thoughts on how they're faring. Recall that just a few days ago, we spoke about the current administration. One of their proud contributions to the administration, they say often, is NEL Fund, and to see how that is faring. Prof. Piwuna, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I do not know that you can hear us anymore. I hope that
we also wish you all the best in your meeting
this weekend.
This weekend with stakeholders.
Yes.
Hopefully they resolve the issues.
Yeah,
back on
it's really sad.
strike.